Imagine waking up one day and discovering that your entire body has been hijacked. You're still alive, still moving, still eating, but you're no longer in control. An invisible puppet master has invaded your system, rewired your brain, and turned you into a slave with one purpose: to care for its children instead of your own. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now in oceans around the world. And the creature responsible for this nightmarish body snatching isn't some alien monster or deep-sea horror. It's something far more unexpected. It's small, it's calculated, and its method of reproduction is so disturbing that it makes other parasites look merciful by comparison. Today, we're diving into the terrifying world of the parasitic barnacle, nature's ultimate body snatcher. Wait, barnacles? Those crusty white things stuck to rocks and boat hulls? The ones you scrape off with a paint scraper? How could something so stationary and seemingly harmless be responsible for such horror? Well, here's what most people don't know. Not all barnacles are the harmless filter feeders we're familiar with. Hidden among the approximately 1,400 barnacle species lurks a group of parasitic monsters that have evolved one of the most sophisticated and horrifying takeover strategies in the entire animal kingdom. Meet Sacculina, the parasitic barnacle that doesn't just infect its host. It completely rewrites what that host is. To understand how twisted this parasite is, we first need to understand normal barnacles. Most barnacles are actually crustaceans, relatives of crabs, shrimp, and lobsters. They cement themselves to hard surfaces and filter feed by extending feathery legs called cirri to catch plankton from the water. They're sessile creatures, meaning once they settle down, they don't move. In fact, Charles Darwin spent 8 years studying barnacles and was fascinated by their unique biology. Adult barnacles are so modified for their lifestyle that early naturalists thought they were mollusks, not crustaceans at all. Regular barnacles reproduce by releasing larvae into the water. These tiny nauplii drift with ocean currents until they find a suitable place to settle, transform into their adult form, and spend the rest of their lives in that one spot. But parasitic barnacles? They took a drastically different evolutionary path. Somewhere along the line, these barnacles discovered something far more efficient than filtering food from water. They could hijack another creature's entire body and turn it into a living incubator and food source. And the species they target most: crabs. These armored, clawed predators are turned into mindless zombies by a parasite they never see coming. The twist. Here's where things get truly disturbing. When you look at an infected crab, you won't see a barnacle shell. You won't see anything obviously wrong at first. That's because Sacculina doesn't live on the outside of its host. It lives inside, as a network of root-like tendrils that spread throughout the crab's entire body, wrapping around organs, penetrating tissues, and effectively becoming one with its victim. The real threat, the reproduction nightmare. The Sacculina's reproduction process is straight out of a horror movie, and it starts with deception. Stage 1, the invasion. A female Sacculina larva drifts through the ocean, searching for a crab. When she finds one, she doesn't attach to the outside like normal barnacles. Instead, she injects herself through a vulnerable spot in the crab's shell, usually near a joint. But here's the truly horrifying part. She doesn't inject her entire body. She abandons almost everything: her shell, her legs, her eyes, and injects only a tiny blob of undifferentiated cells. This microscopic bundle of cells then begins the takeover. It migrates through the crab's body until it reaches the underside, near where the crab would normally carry its own eggs. There, it begins to grow roots, called the interna, that spread like a fungal network throughout the crab's entire body. These roots penetrate everything: muscles, nervous system, eyes, even the crab's brain. The parasite is literally drinking the crab from the inside, siphoning nutrients directly from its bloodstream. The crab becomes a living feeding tube for the barnacle. Stage 2, the castration. But nutrition isn't enough. Sacculina has bigger plans. Once established, the parasite does something unthinkable. It chemically and physically castrates its host. If the crab is male or female, it doesn't matter. The parasite destroys or suppresses the crab's reproductive organs completely. The crab will never reproduce again. Its evolutionary purpose, to pass on its genes, has been erased. But the parasite isn't just preventing competition. It's preparing the crab for its new role. Stage 3, the mind control. This is where it gets even more twisted. The parasitic barnacle doesn't just castrate the crab. It feminizes it and rewires its brain. Male crabs infected with Sacculina begin to develop female characteristics. Their abdomens widen, their behavior changes, and their instincts are completely rewritten. Why? Because Sacculina is about to reproduce, and it needs a mother, even if it has to create one artificially. The parasite eventually erupts from the crab's underside as an external sac called the externa. This sac is the barnacle's reproductive organ, and it looks exactly like a cluster of crab eggs. The crab, now fully under the parasite's control, treats this sac exactly as it would its own eggs. It grooms it, protects it, fans it with fresh oxygenated water, and keeps it clean. The crab has become a devoted parent, but to a parasite's offspring, not its own. Stage 4, mass reproduction. Here's where the male Sacculina enters the picture. A male larva finds the infected crab and injects his own cells into the externa sac. Fertilization occurs, and soon the sac becomes filled with thousands of Sacculina larvae. When the time is right, the crab, still believing it's caring for its own young, performs the brooding behavior. It climbs to a high point, pumps the sac full of water, and releases thousands of parasitic larvae into the ocean current, spreading the infection far and wide. The crab has just given birth, but not to baby crabs, to thousands of parasitic barnacles that will go on to hijack other crabs in the exact same way. After releasing the larvae, the crab doesn't die immediately. It continues to live, but it's no longer truly alive in any meaningful sense. It's a hollow shell of what it once was. It will never molt properly again, never grow, never reproduce. It exists solely to serve the parasite. Some crabs can be infected multiple times, with new Sacculina larvae taking over even after the previous generation has released its offspring. Each time, the crab repeats the process, caring for, protecting, and releasing more parasites into the environment. In areas with high Sacculina infection rates, crab populations can suffer dramatically. Studies have shown infection rates as high as 50% in some locations. When half the population is castrated and turned into parasite incubators, reproduction grinds to a halt. This has cascade effects throughout the ecosystem. Crabs are important predators and prey species. Their decline affects everything from shellfish populations to the fish and birds that feed on them. But perhaps the most frightening aspect is this. Sacculina is incredibly good at what it does. Millions of years of evolution have refined this parasite into a perfect body-snatching machine. The crab has almost no defense. It can't see the larvae coming. It can't fight the infection once it starts. And once the roots spread through its body, there's no going back. Some scientists have called this parasitic castration, but that term doesn't fully capture the horror. This isn't just castration, it's complete identity theft at a biological level. Sacculina and its relatives infect numerous species of crabs around the world, from tiny shore crabs to commercially important species. In some regions, these parasites pose a genuine threat to crab fisheries and coastal ecosystems. What makes this even more unsettling is that Sacculina is just one example. There are other parasitic barnacles that infect different hosts using similar strategies. Lerniodiscus targets hermit crabs. Triangulus infects other barnacle species. The parasitic barnacle family has diversified into dozens of species, each specialized to hijack specific hosts. And researchers continue to discover new species. Many parasitic barnacles are so modified by their lifestyle that they're nearly impossible to identify without genetic analysis. They've abandoned almost every physical feature that makes a barnacle recognizable. They're pure parasite now, optimized for invasion, control, and reproduction. The crab doesn't even know it's been infected until it's far too late. There's no pain, no obvious symptoms, just a slow, creeping takeover that ends with the complete loss of self. Is there any hope for infected crabs? Unfortunately, very little. Once Sacculina's root system spreads through the body, removal is impossible without killing the host. The parasite and crab have become one organism, a chimera where the barnacle controls everything. However, Scientists are studying these parasites intensively, not just out of morbid curiosity, but because they offer insights into host manipulation, neurobiology, and even potential medical applications. Understanding how Sacculina controls crab behavior could help us understand other parasitic diseases and develop treatments. Some crab populations have also shown signs of developing behavior resistance. Crabs in heavily infected areas sometimes avoid certain habitats or show immune responses that can resist early-stage infections. Evolution is fighting back, slowly. Conservation efforts focus on monitoring infection rates and protecting less affected crab populations. In some regions, moving breeding populations away from high infection zones has helped maintain healthy crab numbers. The story of Sacculina is a reminder that nature's horrors often hide in the smallest packages. A microscopic larva that can erase everything you are and turn you into a puppet for its own reproduction. It's the stuff of nightmares. But it's also a testament to the incredible, terrifying creativity of evolution. Life finds a way, even if that way involves complete and total body snatching. So the next time you see a barnacle on a rock, remember, some of their cousins are out there right now, turning crabs into zombies. And the crabs never see it coming.